Hey guys, welcome to Griefers Pub. Tonight, that felt weird. I should have said hello and welcome. I think I messed it up already. Can we roll?
No,
We
no.
gotta roll
Yeah,
back.
okay, all right, hold on.
No.
Hello and welcome.
Hello and welcome, guys. Tonight we'll be discussing our concerns with the diminishing player population in the verse. Toward the end of the show, if you guys are interested and you want to take part in the conversation, make sure that you join the live caller section, and you can join us for a little bit of discussion on the panel here. So, with that being said, Elder, good to see you. We did a poll right at the beginning here. I actually want to take a look at that. These are just some of the things that I was kind of curious about.
My camera? Sorry.
You,
it looks
very,
like fuzzy or something. I don't know. It's like red and
much
fuzzy.
White light. Too much white light is what's going on.
All right, let's try this.
Okay. Dark Wolf, thanks for the follow.
Now I look gray and pale. Is there no fixing this? I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, ultimately, the question is, where are the players? So Stellato is already bringing up some ideas there. Population stinks because master modes, 0.23 server degradation sucks. Maybe contrast, yeah. And CIG refuses to act long-term performance issues and solve it. 6 month wait for 3.23. It does feel kind of like maybe it's a little too late for the patch at the moment. Acknowledge long performance issues. Gotcha. Personally, the listed reasons, kind of, that's what I'm thinking. We've got a lot of stagnant development right now. It feels like it's at a standstill because they haven't been able to. So you're so orange right now.
Damn it! Is that better?
That's better.
Is it better with me being like gray?
It's like you could find an in between.
You're so orange right now. Hold on. What if I remove the white light balance thing?
Maybe try that.
Is that like an in between? Oh my goodness, this is horrible.
That might just be a sunburn. Actually, it kind of looks like you just have a sunburn.
Well, I mean, I am pretty dark, but I'm not burned.
Yeah, dude. But all right, when you're ready, just
hold on. How's that?
Much better. All right, on topic.
Sorry.
We're gonna roll it back. Yeah. So, a number of the reasons that we had listed were what I'm kind of expecting.
I'm having a hard time focusing. Please go ahead.
It's tough. So we have stagnant development, lack of gameplay, and economy has really pulled back a lot of that, motivation. And the server stability, actually, I think that's one of the biggest ones for me, is just not able. That looks good right there. See, that's much better.
Yeah,
I don't know if you did.
I'm done. I'm done playing around, people. Okay. He's watching me mess with the. He's watching me actually mess with the knobs right now too. So he's trying to. I can tell he's trying to focus on the topic, but he's watching me, and he's OCD.
I just want to see how orange you can get. I think the biggest one for me, at least, has been kind of late patch burnout, lack of new content in the verse has just kind of demotivated to some degree a lot of people, a lot of orgs. So
I'm sorry, I missed almost everything.
Yep.
So no, okay. So we're just basically talking about what's going on with the low population, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Do we have those charts we're looking at, or should I look them up?
So here's the thing with those charts, they're not very accurate, but if you want to bring them up, by all means we could. So MMO population, the only reason I don't want to base any theory crafting about the population around that is because I've heard from multiple sources it's not super accurate, but the issue is that
it's got to be accurate within a range though, right? And so? I would assume they're using the same analytics that they used 6 years ago or so, right? So I think it would still give you the idea of what's actually happening, right? I mean, I think, and everybody that's in here, I know we don't want to use it as a matter of fact, right? We don't want to give misinformation.
So take it with a massive grain of salt is more or less what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So if you want to bring that up, by all means, do you have that ready? Just take your time.
No,
in the meantime, I'm gonna say a few. Those are the main reasons. I don't think that Master Modes is the sole one to blame. I think it does contribute to a lot of solo game players and some other people not really popping in?
Well, okay, no, I don't think so either. I think this is what I think. I think what's happening is that we're running into the same problem that we had with all the other patches, right? It starts to get dead towards the next major patch.
Yeah,
There's nothing happening. Plus, the servers are just
they've been awful.
they're unbearable. They really are.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, it's like so. I've heard many people make this comment where they're saying with master modes being a thing, the love of just flying just for the sake of flying isn't really there. So I think it's a combination of things.
Yeah, yeah,
I do have though. Let me see here. It was from Rivergret, and he basically kind of listed off a bunch of things. What
yeah.
happened like for patches. Oh, it's only it's a small number of things though. December 15th, 2023 is Luminalia. Yeah, this was a code to kind of go with that chart, so I guess we can't really look at that. And this
Okay,
goes
no
back
problem.
back to 313.
If you want to bring up like the MMO population, we can use it as kind of a rough estimate. But again, massive grain of salt. I don't want to go with something that's super inaccurate and then say that's matter of fact. Like this is how it is. That just wouldn't work.
Yeah, I'll bring up the estimates. I'll bring up the let me see if I can
Okay.
push through this window. Oh, it's on yours.
Yep, yep. I can stop sharing if you
I'll
want, or
swap
you're
it
just
out.
gonna leave that up.
No, I'll swap
Or
it out.
while you're doing that, I could bring up this last post. We could do that. We got one here.
Wait, what's this image? That's a I it was from our episode a while ago. It's still
That was
that is hilarious. I had no idea. I'm dying.
okay.
All right, I'm sorry. Forgive me.
There, I'm just gonna go over this first. So
The
these are some
rock
things
just
that
hops in there. Oh shoot! You know what? We don't have the We don't.
do you need the website?
No, I
Let me
don't
grab
have
the
to.
website.
The chat box apparently isn't working on that screen. So, all right. You know what? Oh my goodness. Oh.
All right, I got it up. We're gonna use this as like again rough estimate. We're just gonna look at some of the
Okay. Thank
information
you.
on this page.
Okay.
So
And,
we
and you know
have
what? I am gonna send
yeah.
you copy image. I'm gonna send this to you through the GP. So that it just does a comparison of the numbers this month as a oh my goodness, way down there.
It is a super tiny one, but we can make it work.
Yeah, it works fine. It looks great.
So
It looks great.
compared to like last year, is that what we're
Around this
seeing here?
time last year, yeah, we're
Okay.
I mean you could probably use the chart to check what it is actually at now on 8/24 now that the month has
Give me a second. I
passed.
need to like switch here, and we can close
Oh,
this
and
out. Maybe.
where is the
Oh, apparently, I can't. Hang on. Stop sharing. I need to get out of like tabs here. Okay. So
yeah,
we can use this as like again a rough estimate. I wouldn't use this as like a fact because
oh, I
that
see.
just
Okay.
feels very disingenuous. But I can think of where the decline kind of started. It felt like
Oh,
it was starting to
we lost a
happen.
window.
Did we? Okay, give me a sec.
I
Yeah.
hope you guys are enjoying the show here.
One thing at a time. Let's get this started here.
I mean, I'm okay with it.
Mhm. Yeah, it's okay. Share tab. Okay, got it up.
There we go.
Let me
Okay.
bring that up.
All right. Yeah, it's on there.
So let's dial this back just a little bit. Make sure we have like the right times in place here. So this is like a daily population chart. This is in the last month or so. Last time I had like significant pop, according to this at least, was the 19th. I don't know if that was during like one of the first or final days of what is the celebration where you try to help people out. I'm trying to remember that.
What's that?
What is the like last event that they did where you're teaching people how to fly and all this other stuff?
Oh,
Do you
Foundation
remember?
Festival.
Foundation Festival. So I'm wondering if that was the date for that. Let me see if I can adjust this.
Well, so here's the thing about
Yep.
these numbers. So these numbers we discovered is for each login. right? So it's not like concurrent players. It's like
Mm-hmm.
each time I go through and I log into not a server, but just log into my account,
Yep.
after the launcher and I get into the main screen, that's when it points us in, right? So that's what it's recording is each time somebody logs in. So literally, I mean, the numbers it's difficult to have accurate numbers because every time you log in, you could log in and then log out, right?
Yep.
It's a log that person, another player has entered the game. So that's what this is based on.
So this would have been IAE right here. This is when we still had 3.22 for quite a few patches before they finally pushed 3.23, which would have been, I think, roughly about like this is when the decline starts. And that's because people were anticipating that 3.22 was going to be a dead flight model to some degree, right? There was a lot of questions there.
Was that
So
when Master Modes came through? Was 322? And I thought it was 3.23.
that's what I'm saying. Like prior to that, I think this initial decline may have been because of that, if this is accurate,
Yeah.
because people had like lost motivation to keep flying because we were uncertain when they were going to push 3.23. There was a lot of questions and a lot of like teetering on like a release date for that. And if I recall, I think Master Modes spiked in probably either late April or early May or mid May. It's one of the two. I think it was mid May actually.
Damn, I did have something too. Um,
I don't know if I trust these numbers though, just because this looks like it's way
no, I
too low.
mean we can't completely trust them. I was gonna try to find out when exactly Master Modes was. No, we
Yeah.
can't completely trust them, but I know that it does work. Because it's like you log in and log out, and you can actually see the number change.
Hmm.
It like it changes very like live. It's like real time changes.
Yeah, I
So,
gotcha. One second. I'm
um,
going to bring up a different post though, because we were talking about this before. Some of the Spectrum pages actually had some like interesting um, posts that were done within the last, few weeks. This one is from July 27th. These are again just like opinions from the community. So I tried to like find as many as I could. The first one that we actually had looks like it finally got deleted by CIG Knight Rider. So that's a little bit of a rip. That was a good conversation too. It was talking about we need answers as to like where all of
it
these
wasn't
goals are.
egregious.
Right?
It wasn't egregious.
No, no, no. It was a good discussion.
He literally just found out that it got deleted just now, and I don't
Hmm.
understand why they would delete it. But apparently they hit a nerve or something.
Maybe something happened in the time that I think the last time I was checking it out was on Friday, so something probably spiked up for like some kind of discussion that they didn't necessarily want. So
Yeah.
they deleted that first one. The second one that we have here says the number is in a decline based is in a decline based on numbers. It has not yet reached the point of no return, but is well on its way if CIG does not change direction. Just a year ago, we had well over 250 players daily. Again, I want to know where they get these numbers
Yeah,
because I
I'm
would
wondering
rather.
if that's based on
I'm thinking that might be the
what we were
case.
just looking
Yeah.
at. Is that the only place that we can find numbers like that? I
That's
think it
I looked
is.
all over the place, and that was
Yeah,
the only thing that I could use as
that's
a
the
base.
only
So
thing that.
again,
Yeah.
take it with a massive grain of salt. I don't trust it personally. It says that it went up to as many as 800K a day. Honestly, previous year, like this time of the year, in I think it was August, I remember there was a lot of activity. It was like late, what, 319 or 3.20? It was one of the two, right? Which one was it? It was probably 3.21 or 3.20 last
For
August.
what? I'm
For
sorry.
last August, I think 3.20 was the patch that was dropped during that time. It was either 3.20 or 3.21.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, I don't know. I was
There.
actually reading the comment that Mazda was saying too. So I ran across these
Oh yeah,
numbers
yeah.
about a month and a half ago. The one argument that I can defend or can't defend about the numbers being inaccurate is how they are reporting record money raising compared to last year. So you're saying they made record amount of money, and it doesn't really
It doesn't
line up
compare.
with the
Yeah.
numbers that are being reported on that site. I think that's what he's saying, right?
Hmm.
Oh, wait a minute, hold on. What is
It's a copy
this?
paste. It's a
It
copy
is a
paste. Don't worry.
it's a copy pasta.
Okay, so CIG would say this is not even a game, and we're not players, merely game testers or backers. But at this rate, the slow rate of death in SE is going to happen within 2 years. Again, I don't know where he's getting these numbers, where there are
Yeah.
hardly any players or backers left. I hope I'm wrong, despite its current state. A lot of speculation here. As far as I can tell, Star Citizen has an identity problem. This is actually something that I think it was Expat brought up about they can't decide on what they want to do with their game, and that's a big issue. There's no direction. So I do agree with that. CIG seems to want it to be simply too many things: FPS, space sim, RPG. God knows what else it will be all in one. While it is respectable, they put the bar too very high. They should really make up their mind on what they want it to be. I think that makes a lot of sense.
All
Go
right.
with like
So
a base
yeah,
direction, right?
I want to jump on that too.
Yeah,
Kind of right. Scroll up a little bit.
yeah. What do you want me?
So I want to jump on that. So basically, it's saying that they're trying to do too many things at once: FPS, space sim, RPG, so etc. Right?
Yep.
Now, I agree. I definitely agree with that. Like they are trying to do too many things because they're trying to develop the game with having all these goals all at once, right? So it's they got
Yep.
all these different things they're trying to do at once, right? Now for it to be the game he wants it to be, they're kind of stuck in a corner where they have to do this. They have to work on all these things at the same time because they can't like just, you know what I mean? They want you to be able to land on a planet and it turns FPS, right?
Yep.
They want you to be able to fly off the planet and it turns into a space sim. They want you to be able to jump into one of the vehicles on the ground and now you're racing around and it's got the mechanics. There's only if they want to build the game that they wanted, they're stuck doing these things. Like they have to build all these things simultaneously. I think the way I see it, right? There's no way really around it. I mean, sure, they can have focuses, right? The focus right now is space combat, right? And I don't think they do that. I don't feel like they focus on anything. I feel like they'll focus on one thing for a little bit and then they'll move on to the next, you know?
Yeah, it's again lack of. It feels. I don't know if it's leadership or just overall direction as a company. They got to figure. I do agree with that. I think they need to hone in on like two or three like major gameplay elements and just really excel at that for a while at least. I know Squadron 42 kind of complicates that because that's what's taking priority. It's kind of like what happened with a good example I think of is like Daisy and Bohemia with Arma 4 eventually coming out. Daisy's on the back burner. That's kind of what the PU feels like
They
sometimes.
need to wrap up Squadron 42
They
already.
do. I think
They need to
that's the biggest
drop
thing that's
that.
holding them back.
Yeah, they need to drop that and stop worrying about realistic ass wiping with toilet paper in the background from AI that nobody sees.
Hey, the sheets of toilet paper are gonna have like cloth physics though. It's gonna be like
yeah, but
soft.
think about the processing power to have two ply.
Like, you know,
two ply is too much processing. I'm just saying.
Bear commercials. It's gonna be like that. It's gonna be great. Let's not. Anyways, you were saying.
I also want to jump again on what Maz said. They are reporting that they have raised more year to date than last year. If they have lost that much fan base, how are they still bringing in that much money? That's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't think that directly correlates with people playing though, because it's like when the game originally, when they originally announced the game, right? He made more money than he was expecting, and you didn't have a playable game, right? But people were still buying ships to support the dream of what the game could be. So I don't think just because they sold, because I still look, I got people in the org that aren't playing at all, and every time a ship drops, they still want to buy it. You know, which
like conditioning 101. They're doing something right there.
Yeah, so I don't think that completely correlates with the how many people are playing, because
I think 2010 actually has a really good point. Much of this stuff just doesn't align with ideas they previously pushed, in my opinion. So you're having this weird like transitional point where they're trying to push like new elements from like new teams, and you know previous members have like kind of, well, they parted ways with like Daisy or with Star Citizen and like CIG. You know,
I feel like that's true. 2010, that's true, and I think that's because the focus went from like Chris Roberts had this dream of the perfect space sim game to being, how could we keep people buying stuff? And I think that shifted what the vision was, because now it's not about like it now it's about how do we get mass amounts of people to play this game. You know what I mean? Like it's trying to appeal
So,
to
like a larger
the
audience
average
instead of
Joe.
like a
Yeah, I
niche.
think
Yeah.
that's part of it. I think that's part of it, honestly.
I just think of the there's a previous like Christmas special where they try to get Chris Roberts on controllers playing the game, and it's barely functional the entire time, and
Really?
he's looking for help, and I'll post that to you later. It's one of my favorites actually. It's a gem that in ages like a fine wine every time I see it. I think we move on to maybe a different post if you're down to do that. Maybe we check out some of the other ones that we had
Yeah,
here. There
sure.
was
Go
a
ahead, pull
second
it
one.
up, and I'll
So this one was for org managers. It brings up kind of a question that we've already addressed. How is it like affecting orgs and org leadership and stuff like that? Here, one second. And org managers, please tell us. This is not for hurt the game to hurt the game. It's to try and it's to
not for
try
hurt the
CIG.
game. Yeah, that's not
Okay,
on you.
so yeah. Okay, so it's not to hurt the game, but it's for CIG to understand the problem we have now. Org managers tell us here in reality how many of your beloved members are now leaving the game. Master modes was a full mess. Servers are garbage. To the incredible boring walk metro simulator now adds Tetris in game. A lot of us, the people that have been here for years and put money into the project, want a dream, not a stupid job. So this guy is bringing up like complaints. I mean, I can think
Yeah.
for like a personal Discord, I know that we went from like pretty high, activity to sometimes it's a struggle. I know that a lot of other orgs are feeling it too. It's not just us.
Oh yeah. No, I mean if you so for at least from the PvP side, right? If you go
Mhm.
across all the different Discords, it's the ones that are still very active in
They're
the
in different
Discord.
games most of the time.
They're
Yeah.
not in Star Citizen, and a good evidence for that is I have well over 100 people on my friends list. I don't even know how many. I have a lot, right?
Yep.
Just randos even.
Yep.
I I logged in, and it was literally 5 people. The other day, one of the guys in the org, he showed his list,
Yep.
right? Out of 101 friends, he had one online.
One.
I mean,
Yep.
one literally. So he was, anyway. So I mean, it
did
just goes
cycle
to show
through
it's. Yeah,
some of
go
my
ahead.
ults actually the other day. My main account today just had 9 people out of like 264. The other day, one of my ults, I checked. That one has well over like 250, 300. There was about like 4 or 5. It
Yeah,
it's a telling like tale of like what's happening when I know it's like late patch. Again, this isn't for like doomsaying or anything like that. We want to see this project succeed, but given the current state of development and how long it's taken for them to push out like a partial patch from 3.23 that is now just relabeled as 3.24, it is a little, disheartening, maybe discouraging.
yeah,
So I think that's a big issue that I have with it.
yeah. I mean, yeah. So it's like they don't do any work on like getting the servers running or whatever what's currently happening right now, right? Because they're working on 324 and trying to
Yeah.
get this, these hangars. I mean, it's cool. It's a cool idea and all that. I mean, everything they do is really cool, right?
Yeah.
But it's like they're always pushing like everything to the limit, and I really think, and I say this all the time, but I really think the biggest problem they have is that you're just really putting too much on this. There's too many features on a server. It's just too much. It's like it's tracking too much. I don't know. Well, I don't
Yeah.
know anything about game development, so
Yep. No, I
but
understand. It's all
it just
good.
seems
But
that way.
it's okay to express your personal opinion
And Moz
on
is
that kind
right.
of
They
thing.
did break nearly every aspect of the game. I mean, it's you go into I can't do bounty hunting, right? And if I have a crime stat, I don't think people are getting my bounty.
Yeah.
So I'm not as a primarily PvP player. I'm not getting PvP, and
Means griefer.
yeah, griefer. I'm not griefing, and I'm not getting griefed.
Here's a
So what do
comment.
I do?
For the first time in 2 years, our org was empty on a Saturday last night. I sat in a voice for about 3 hours to see if anyone would show up. Our sister orgs have been that same way for a few weeks now. And I feel like this kind of like resonates with a few groups. Yes, there is some activity, but it's typically like we had just mentioned, other games that are kind of, taking priority because Why would you play this cursive like a broken like alpha when you could be playing something else that's fresh and new, has like working content, working gameplay loops? I get it.
Yeah.
And I do realize it is like late gameplay or like late patch 3.23, and that sometimes is like a historic thing for like trends. You'll see people just dip out and just wait for the new stuff to pop out.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing a race sim. I've been enjoying the hell out of it
Mhm.
too.
Yeah. I get you.
You know,
I've been playing Star
um,
Citizen.
it's a struggle.
It
I
can be.
don't. I'm a bit confused, like with what they're actually planning to do with the flight model at this point, because it's like they were gonna make these changes to 4.0, then they're not, and now they now I apparently they nerfed the F8 to the ground, where now the turn rate is worse than what was
I
Stiletto
think it was the
saying.
Vanguard that Stiletto was talking about.
It's
Maybe it
it's
was.
terrible. So it's just
Yeah.
it just literally they're playing with a dartboard. Go ahead. I'm
Mhm.
sorry. We got this. What is this?
So this one says my thoughts on the game after playing for 5 days. Love the game when it works. It's amazing. We always say that. Problem is 75% of the time the server just does not work. Tried cargo hauling, ship exploded for no reason. Stiletto knows what that feels like too. It blows up at least 3 or 4 times in a single session with me. I know that. Tried mining 3 times. Ship exploded mid-air for no reason, and that's like positional desync with like surface and just weird stuff like that. 3 times rock mining laser stopped working for no reason. Tried mercenary missions. This is the only gameplay loop that's actually worth doing money wise for me. You can't really lose anything other than your time. My thoughts, instead of playing or trying to put so much feature on the updates, perhaps trying to fix the basics is more important. But of course, this. This is just ranting. And I think that's valid. I get that. And I'm not gonna try to take too many like points about like what's wrong with the game. We want to see it
That's a good
improve. So
post.
it
That's a
is a
good
good post
post
though.
though, because he's like,
I think it's like it's well
tried
rounded.
cargo, ship exploded. Tried
Yeah,
mining, laser stopped working. Right?
like he
It's like
legitimately gave it a shot.
the
And
only gameplay loop worth doing for money is mercenary missions, and honestly, it gets very monotonous. You
it
know,
does, yeah.
and you're just it's the same thing over and over again.
There's only so many times that you can go into like the Herson bunkers, the same layout and the same enemies. Even PvP sometimes gets a little like dull. It can only wait so long at like repel and pickers before somebody that might show up because they don't want to even like run sometimes. Like today, I got lucky. I found like 3C2s, but I couldn't take any of them on because it was too much of a group trying to run solo. Um,
Hmm.
but previously, there was a lot of explosions, and it's just a risk in general to try and run cargo when servers are that unstable. There's like a server error, and you 30K, stuff like that.
Yeah. I want to jump into some
Yeah.
of the comments here. I get
Hmm.
tired of watching my UEC balance dwindle because I can't complete missions. That's from Bishop. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah, I mean, that reminds me of the, what was the name of those missions where you can upgrade the F7 to the S7A?
Xenothread.
Yeah, what were they called? Do you
Overdrive,
remember?
overdrive, overdrive
Overdrive
missions.
missions. Yeah. That reminds
Yep.
me of the overdrive missions. It's like they gave you and it's so funny. It's like they really have no idea. They give you a limited amount of time. Now I know they corrected it after the fact, but they give you a limited amount of
Hmm.
time to complete these missions. Yeah, incursion. And
Yep.
so that
That's
way you
it.
can upgrade your ship, and like people couldn't finish the missions. So, you know what I mean? Like,
Hmm. Yeah, I know what you mean.
they distract everyone for another quarter with the Polaris. That's from, I don't know how to say your name. Is it Kerr Avon? Yeah, I know they're holding off on some ships, right? Because they need to make those sales, which is understandable. And and we talked about this the other day. I think, but basically 700 million. Oh, I don't know if you were in the VC. Stiletto was though.
But
Seven
shared
hundred,
anyways. Yeah.
yeah, $700 million over the course of 12 years really isn't that much money, actually, for the
Look
amount.
at like other projects like GTA where it's like millions of dollars into that project, and that is with like full teams and
Yeah,
established companies. So
yeah, it's like when you think about it, it's like they have to. I don't know. I know they're getting like a lot of newer type developers and
yep.
programmers or whatever, right? And they kind of have to, because they can't afford like these super, like, I don't know. So I mean, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I know it's like 700 million, like the most any game has ever crowdfunded. Yes, that's true.
For crowdfunding.
However,
For
yeah,
crowdfunding.
it's a lot for crowdfunding, but it's not a lot for what they're doing. It actually
Mhm.
isn't. So I understand the sales. Like, I don't want to hate on it. I get it.
Yeah.
What
Okay.
else we got here?
Can we go
No,
back to the main panel? I think we're done sharing these. These are
oh
good.
yeah, absolutely. I was just reading through some of the chats here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Let's see. Not to mention a hard to gain rep. Yeah, Hornets as well in 324. I'm not sure what that had to do with. F8 turns like the Starfarer Gemini. That's what it is. That's
Mm-hmm.
and Stiletto flies in
Definitely
the
was.
F8 a lot. You
Mm-hmm.
know.
You used to.
Yeah, he used to. He's not, he's gonna have to hang it up. I mean, retire it. Never mind. Anyway,
Okay.
um, where are the players? Itachi not here.
He's got
He
work
didn't want to
tonight, so
play
he
today.
no he had work, so he had to
I'm
step out for a little
kidding.
bit. So yeah.
He was just trying to give a accurate representation of what the game looks like by not being
Mhm.
present. It's not surprising. Been at this point X times before. Yeah, I know. I feel, but it definitely
Mhm.
feels the worst it has ever felt before. And I think, and I know people are like, oh, it's because of mass modes. No, it's not all because of mass modes, but I think it's a huge contributor for the reason why people aren't just like. But I think the other thing is the servers really are really bad. They are really bad. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, anyway. So
So what do you think? Um, I think we've done plenty of like renting. I think we move on to maybe solutions. Like, what does CIG need to do at this point? I know that they need to step it up and like release Pyro for starters. It sounds like
in
they're trying to market, but they need to
okay,
get like
yeah,
server meshing.
yeah, okay. They do. They absolutely
Mhm.
do. Right. And I'm concerned because there was a comment made by CIG themselves saying it may not make this year. Big shock.
Yeah,
Thank you for the follow, by the way, Caveman Crafting. Um, yeah.
quick to
So
break, leaving
yeah, I may
forever.
not make it this
Leaving.
year. Big
Yeah.
shock. Um,
Hmm.
we do need pyro. We definitely need meshing because it's getting promised for years now. Hasn't been delivered still. But if we could have anything, stability,
Yep.
right?
I think that honestly, I think that that is what kills the game for me right now. I
It
can't log it.
is.
At least like last week. This week it feels like it's a little bit more stable, but last week there was constant, action delay, a lot of server hitching. Welcome on in, by the way, Thunder Lake, and a few things that just kind of, I don't know,
Oh,
made
this.
me rethink about. Yeah, hang on. Solutions. Players like progression, being able to make meaningful gains on equipment, create an impact. Players' choices have consequences in the environment or to other players. Logical outcomes during gameplay, balance ships, and vehicles, non-buggy gameplay. I think that pretty much like sums it up. Actually, that's
Yeah, you know
really
what
good
though?
statistic.
Somebody made a good point in the comments from our last YouTube, right?
Yep.
And basically what they were saying is like, yeah, we need all those things, but the problem is the game's not reliable enough. So it's like if there was a working economy, people will lose all this stuff a lot of times because the servers are a mess, right? So I mean that's a good point, but we absolutely do need it. Like we need a working economy, we need the
I think it
reputation.
was it this one. I don't think it is for PvPers alone, but rather all players, bug-free experience, and no desync. Large issue is that right now it takes forever to do anything, and more time
Yep.
sinks are coming, couple with how easy it is to die and lose everything. If desync and no bugs can occur, then more uh, maybe able to maybe open to PvP being more frequent. Right now, it isn't sought after because it is another time sink on top of more time sinks, and you lose progress. Regression in game is a very hard sell. I was just reading this really quick, so that's actually a very fair point. Let me kind of catch up with chat here, and just so you guys know, we're going to actually open up the platform for anybody that wants to just talk with us. We do have the Discord open and available. Let me post that right there. Just hop into the channel above. It's the waiting room. If you want to chat with us, we got about like 4 or 5 minutes, or if the conversation is good, we'll just keep going,
Yep.
and we'll
So
just kind of fill
basically,
that in.
you'll see that there's a VC that says waiting room. You jump in the
Mhm.
waiting room, we can pull you in for, and so that way we can talk about this as well because I know everybody's feeling it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, man, I will say when I stepped into this game, I absolutely fell in love with it, and not just like as a griefer type or anything. Like I am a wicked big nerd. I love the look of it. It was like it sparked my creativity as well because it was beautiful. I mean, it really was. I mean, what other game can you get like you can actually see a sunset on the planet and actually feel like, damn, this is almost real. You know what I mean? Like, so it's I feel like it's difficult to watch it go the way that it's going because I don't I don't want it to actually die.
You don't want
I
to see it
want
fail because
yeah
you've invested a lot of time and energy into it. And
yeah
really, what we see a really fun potential game that could be, so much more, really.
yeah
And again,
um
the whole idea behind this conversation isn't to like doomsay or say CIG's
no
dying or it's nothing like that. It's just we want to see it succeed. Caveman Crafting actually said something that I thought was kind of interesting. I'll tell you. Hang on, let me unpin this so I can actually read it. Some things that could fit, like kick up activity a lot. Fix PU servers so they are functional even during PTU rounds, free fly events, and more. Implement a mostly player-driven economy. This is 100%. They just need to allow players to take over the economy and not worry about like events and all this
yep
other stuff,
mm-hmm
because that's what really drives gameplay is just organic, encounters in the verse really. Um,
yep
I know it doesn't drive ship sales, but it does help. Allow for shortages, etc., to affect prices of ship spawning, equipment, weapons. Something dynamic like that would be really, really cool to see. So I do agree with that. That would help a lot.
yeah
Here's one from Mazda. Mazda says, "Solution: stop promising things before." Oh, actually, I have Thunder Lake in the channel above. I just saw. I'm gonna read this really quick, and we'll drag him in because it looks like he might have some things to say too.
hey Thunder
Stop
Lake
promising for things before they are ready. They keep promising this and that, and when it's time to deliver, it's still broken. Release what is ready and be honest with the community about the problems you're having with the other updates. So more transparency is what it sounds like. That actually would be a good solution, I think. That can get, corporate like companies a little bit of trouble if like say stuff like that happens. But I don't know. I'd prefer that kind of honest take personally. I'm gonna drag Thunder Lake in.
sounds good.
Hey, welcome Thunder Lake. Good to see you.
Hey, how's it going? Appreciate
It's
you guys
very good.
bringing me on the pub here. Good to see
Absolutely, man.
Elder and Dead.
So you had some really good things to say about solutions for what CIG could do to hopefully, bring back the game into like a better state with like population. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
I mean, I think a lot of people understand a lot of the reasons, right? So like I think like you guys were describing earlier, a lot of legacy players seem pretty discouraged to play the game.
Yeah
You
Yeah.
know, they're seeing the serviceability being poor, like random explosions and their weapons not reloading, or like significant input delays. So
Yeah.
like when you're in combat, you start throwing med pens at people, or just like you can't pull out your gun.
yeah
We've seen that happen a bunch.
yeah
Yep.
oh yeah
I've killed a couple of people I was trying to heal one night. I remember
yeah
that kind of stuff.
Yep.
you get
And
to
then
jump
like
on somebody and you throw your gun at them or it goes away and you're like
yeah.
no
You
Yep.
can't reload your gun because you've like depleted a mag, killing one
Ex-
person, but there's a second one there. Yeah.
Yep.
yeah
Yep.
Mhm.
And
it's so
like
painful
we've seen it all, like all of the PvP groups, right? They're a little bit
Yep.
discouraged because not only did we introduce the significant changes to like vehicular flight, which it doesn't feel as much you're in control anymore, but it
Yeah.
also
yeah
like the slow progress on development and like iterations on that really discourage people from being like, okay, well, why am I spending time doing this when it's just going
yeah
to change? So,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
part of it. It would
Yeah.
definitely be more encouraging where you're saying with like the way Master Modes flies, for instance, right? They throw us a new if I understand correctly, they threw us a new flight model and then it feels like it basically halted the progress on making changes or updates to it to better refine it, right?
yeah, they
Yeah.
basically introduced the flight model and they were like, all right, we're gonna really tweak this. We're gonna spend this time tweaking it, and then they're like, actually, we're not gonna change this until 4.0, right? So
Yeah.
like all of a sudden, all of these test things in the Arena Commander mode, like they stopped like being like, okay, what should we change about this? Because I think we all know it's not perfect right now,
Mm,
Yeah.
but it's definitely changed the gameplay, and it also affects part of the issue why people aren't playing the game is the new player growth is pretty low. And
yeah.
if you think about it, before in the old flight model, new player solo play, you could still kind of maybe avoid or get away, even though you were jousting at max speed. But like, imagine the new player experience when you're a single person, not in an org, flying, doing your cargo, and all of a sudden you just get hit by a gaggle of people shooting you. Like you're
nothing
just
but like Firebird, like size threes at you or something.
All of a sudden, a Firebird comes out of nowhere from like 2K, you never see, no radar, and then you're dead. So like, new player experience is a bit rough, and I've noticed that even looking up Star Citizen, basically it says that it's an in development game for space trading and combat simulation, but like things have been not feeling so much like that, and that's on the Wikipedia page. Like, it's an in development multiplayer space trading and combat simulation game, which then you go and look at the community leaders on like YouTube and stuff, and they're like, what are we going to do about PvP griefing? Like, and they're all like up in arms, freaking out about it. So like, as a new player, would you want to join a game where the community is like, I don't know, dude, this is this, like they're freaking out, and then you already have all this negative attention, even though it's like a unique game, and there's a lot of things to do in the verse, because you have that initial difficulty joining the game, and then once you play the game, this is also an issue for our like legacy players, is the lack of meaningful goals. Like the reputation you guys are talking about, it's slow. There's not much variance in the missions. There's no like visual change to the gameplay. Like when you complete a mission, it's like, okay, well, I cleared out Ninetales from this bunker. They'll be back tomorrow, or like 2 seconds later. And then like you can get a basic starter ship or like upgrade your ship immediately to the maximum performance without having to do any reputation grinding. Like there's nothing you can do in game like contributes if you just have someone else giving you money from an org. You're just, okay, I'm just going to buy the best components.
Now that's one of those things that you will hear some people throw out there. Yeah, but it's an alpha. But then I always fall back to the fact that they package it and they're selling it like it's a playable full game. I mean, they really are. Right. And then when people start discovering the problems, that's when they fall back on, well, it's an alpha. It's like you get stuck in this never ending like cycle of, but it's just an alpha. So that's why.
But it's not an excuse at this point. Like you said, if they're marketing on YouTube for like a full product, like Fly Today, it's a like full verse and like fully flushed out game.
There's advertisements. They're doing advertisements on YouTube and everything. Like, especially when Jumptown comes up.
Yeah, they're really
comes up. They're like, come test yourself at Jumptown. Let's go. And then you go there and you're like, everyone in search, like, okay, who's here? I don't know. Like,
there's a tumbleweed. And the tumbleweed's desyncing, by the way.
If you don't explode on literally the air molecules before as you land.
Which is has been another big problem. In Stiletto, I know he's I don't know how many times I've seen this guy just randomly explode, but we'll be floating above a planet and all of a sudden his ship just explodes out of nowhere. I've seen that happen so much. What is this?
So,
okay, that's an actual comment. Excuse me.
Yep.
There's a pinned comment here. Want to read that?
So this one says bad project management will show after all these years, and there's no way to hide this anymore. Given how long they ignored bugs, there is not a short-term fix. If they would reverse course like 180 degrees, it would still take 3 to 4 years to get something with a minimal amount of quality in it. I think the quality is there, but it does come down to having a lot of issues with like spaghetti code and things that have been around for a long time that need like proper updating because previous teams have left and the new teams don't necessarily always know how to code that. They brought that up during like one of the missions with how package delivery systems work and how like one team will code completely different from the other one. There's no uniformity in that. And that can be problematic. Like over like long term, you have like 3 or 4 different studios. It's a challenging project remotely,
Yeah, I think kind of a backtrack. I think I want to jump back on the stability thing.
Yeah,
I know that it's like they're trying to develop like all this new eye candy or whatever and stuff that seems like it would be really cool. And like they're trying to put out all this new stuff, right? And I think that takes away from them focusing solely on stability to be like a major patch of stability. I know that stability is probably not something you focus on when you're in alpha but this again is anything but a normal game. It really is not a normal scenario. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I really
Agreed.
think they should take a patch cycle to just. And Salty Mike said this before. They need to do a patch cycle where it's just literally just focusing on game stability, right? Where because one of the reasons why they're struggling with the pop isn't because of lack of content and all this. It's because you log into the game and you get stuck in the bed for like 5 minutes before you can get up because the stability is just not there. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you described a good like what solutions they should be looking for. And I feel that unfortunately there's a bit of time that they're kind of sacrificing the current player base right now. And this is not something I feel like they're trying to do. It's just something they're focusing on. They're being like, okay, we really want to get this meshing tech all set. We really want to get 4.0, all these promises that they've had. They want to deliver it. And they've really just moved resources from like the current alpha as it is right now and focusing on like what the next step will be. And if they don't get that right, we're really going to see a bad time for Star Citizen as we are
Yeah.
seeing now, and that might continue. But I think what you were saying there, Elder, is like what sort of things could CIG focus on to create the largest impact to increase player retention or
Mm-hmm.
decrease the atrophy that's natural for every game. So
Yeah.
like what do you guys think? Like what's the biggest thing that they could do to fix or to introduce that would bring back players or bring back player driven attitudes?
I think it really hitches on having two like proper systems, server meshing, and I think they're really riding on that. You see how much you're pushing it through like
Yeah.
ISC, and I think they're going to try and deliver it. This is personal prediction, probably like SitCon or like maybe like IAE or even post IAE. They might do like another tech preview to keep people busy in the meantime until it's
Yeah.
like in a state where it's playable. I don't know. I would
I,
say server meshing is a big part though. They really need
yeah.
like a bigger player base.
I
Encounters are
think, yeah, I
slim to
think
none.
I agree. Like server meshing 4.0, but that still kind of goes hand in hand with the stability thing. My so my thing was, this is what I'm thinking, right?
Mhm.
The game is being built for a technology of server meshing where now you're not relying on one, or you're not relying on one server for everyone to jump on and to track everything in this one system, right? Where meshing is a multitude of servers working together, and what that could do is take load off. So I think that would, in the long run, help with stability. Um, Problem is that they're creating a brand new technology that realistically does not exist or never worked before, right? And they're
It
almost
does
there.
work.
Well, it
It does
does.
exist. There's a few games that have like pulled it off.
Really,
Yeah,
really. Well,
really.
what? Oh, is it the dynamic server meshing? Is that what it is that makes it
That's.
different?
I mean, there's like different systems that exist out there, but there are like existing MMOs that do it like pretty well too. You know.
So
Really?
let's say though that for the sake of argument, server
Yep.
meshing completed, done, it's all set. Does that actually fix the player base right now as it is? I don't think so. If server
I
meshing was introduced tomorrow, we still have the same buggy game that we're playing with no
Mhm.
progression, no impact on economy, no impact on the environment. You know what I mean? They're introducing
Yeah.
these,
yeah
contested zones or whatever,
no
but I don't think server meshing is the holdup. I think it ties up resources. But say if they launch server meshing tomorrow, it would increase, I think, interactions organically in the PU.
Hmm.
It would increase, potential player counts, right? How many total players are on the server. But it still will leave us a pretty stale experience when it comes to making way in the game. And I think those are the things that they should focus on for like making sure people want to come back to Star Citizen. Oh, yesterday I just did all these bunker missions and I unlocked this new mission type. Now I need to
Hmm.
go like data hack, this other area. So now you're like bridging those missions together. Um, and allowing people to interact with each other in the current state of the game. So they had the SBK mission and the Ghost Hollow mission where like it kind of in the
yeah
Wake of Disaster missions, right? Where player input in the universe impacted other players in the game so that they could come and like, oh wow, I see someone doing that over here. Let me change something now. So my personal opinion is that the way to fix the player retention issues is give them goals that matter in the current state of the game,
yeah
Yep.
um, despite server meshing being online or not. I think that'll bring more people back to the game time and time again when they have something that they can look to and say, I was here, today, and then in 3 weeks, I plan to be here.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree with all that.
Yeah.
I agree.
So,
And I guess my only, I was just to throw it out there.
yep.
I think the reason why meshing would help, in my opinion, is because it's also locking up 4.0 in Pyro. And Pyro is something new, right? We've been looking at the same damn place. But you're right. I mean, the stability for sure. Because we're gonna end up with the same fatigue, even with Pyro that we're getting now, right? If I'm in Pyro and I blow up randomly. Apparently they're making Pyro smaller, right? Is that true? I guess. But if I'm in Pyro and I blow up randomly, and maybe it's difficult for me to get around, which I don't think it's going to be anymore, but it would be more devastating, and it would create that same fatigue. But I guess that was my only point was I guess with meshing comes Pyro, comes a little bit more to see at least. But you're right. I mean, if the game is running, I don't know, it's still gonna
Yeah,
get.
it's again, it's the same. It's a different skin, right? It's
Yep.
definitely cool. It'll bring a lot of players back to go experience the new stuff.
But it's a
I
temporary
think, like you
fix.
said, they added a lot of stations, so it's going to be a little bit more less cumbersome to like logistically move from planet to planet. And again, there's going to be some reputation systems that are in play there, right? With the rough and ready groups holding
Yep.
most of the refueling areas. There's going to have small little factions here and there, so it's going to be fun, but for how long? That's the thing, is like novelty wears off when you finish the experience. And if there's nothing driving players to come back, like, oh, I may have completed max reputation on this faction, but guess what? That faction just lost the ability to give me the parts that I need. Now I need to
Yeah.
go rep grind this faction, or something like that. So I think that really, if they focus on the goals and the impact that a player can introduce in the game, and it
Mm-hmm.
changes, like you can come 2 weeks later and it's like, oh, I shouldn't be trading iron anymore. That station needs whatever it is. So hopefully these cargo missions
Yeah.
and stuff like
Maybe
that
introduce
really
something like
introduce
that.
a little bit of the variance that is what I'm looking for.
Yeah. one
Is
hundred
that
percent.
There was a system I think they talked about a while ago. I haven't heard anything about it since, but wasn't it called Quanta, where it's kind of like a an emulated what's the word, demand and the verse for like resources that they need. That was I don't know. I haven't heard
Yeah,
about it in like maybe about a year or two, but yeah, that was
it
something that they were talking about a while ago.
there's some requests, I think, that it puts in where it basically says like, hey, this, you got to bring the outposts, mine the materials, and they get the raw materials. They then bring them to the cities to then refine,
Yep.
and the factories then bring those materials out to the outposts to
Okay.
use. So I think they are working on something like that. I know the economy team is tweaking some stuff. I think we
Yeah.
all agree that we like the increase in prices in game.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
when people were kind of like, "Oh my God,
I
railgun
haven't heard
ammo is
anybody
now."
complain about that either. Yeah, I agree.
Nope.
I think we all like that.
I would like, I like the idea of having like a dynamic economy. One that actually goes in tangent with like beast building, I think would be really good for like, homesteads and settlements, or gameplay being somehow intertwined in that, making bigger bases and defenses and all this other stuff. Might be like a help with, like end game like content where base rating is suddenly like more viable, using like
Hmm.
vehicles and all that other stuff would be helpful. And I think that is something that a lot of other games, a good example that I can think of immediately as an MMO would be 76. Fallout 76 has little to no like end game, but it has like a really good like ramp up beginning.
So
And I feel SE is like very similar in that regard.
So yeah, it's, I think they're talking about in chat here. Quanta got scrapped and it's Star Economy now.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, they're
Mhm.
kind of changing, pivoting on what they're going to call it. So
Yeah.
By the way, I mean, everything you guys are both saying, I think is the reason why most of us started playing to begin with, because these were the things we were hoping for, right? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Those were some of the
it's like,
goals that were, broadcast in like either sitcom or like ISC episodes about some of the potential concepts that they had.
yeah,
And
I mean,
that's what it kind of turned into.
I the only one that was kind of irritated to see another freaking Inside Star Citizen about Pyro? Like, to me, it was like, oh, sweet. Here's another video about the system you were supposed to have like 4 years ago or something, right? Am I alone in that? Like that kind of just irritated me. I was like, oh,
I
great,
know, I
another
know what you're
Pyro
saying.
video.
It's almost like dangling a carrot on the stick, but I
Yeah,
think
again.
they're ramping up some marketing for a pyro release sooner than later, at least in the next like 2 to 3 months. I
Fair
don't know.
enough.
Again, that feels like maybe it's a stretch, but it could be possible where they open like a tech preview for a few months and that's it. Who knows?
So
Yeah, true.
did either one of you guys fail, by the way, when they said that Squadron 42 was feature complete, right? Did you guys get this like strike of hope, like all this progress was going to start being made? And it felt that way at first too. Is it just me?
I
Been
think it
here
was
since 2013.
Yeah, when I heard Squadron 42 is now feature complete, all I heard was, "Hey, we're done with kind of what we want to have there. Now we got
Well,
to actually complete the rest of the game." So
so
like
let
it's
me, yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me jump. I agree with that, but I guess there was a point when it felt like they were starting to drop major stuff, right?
Like there's some progress going. Yeah.
Yeah, like it did, and I feel like we're right back to where we were.
I feel like Z actually brought up something the other day where some of the stuff that they promised it, or like a good portion of the stuff that they showed at SitCon, we're actually starting to see in game. Aside from like, like some of the physics programs and stuff like that. New UIs already there. A lot of the like new systems for like flight are introduced and we're like actively playing it, but it doesn't feel like it's enough to keep us going. Like you said, it's a lack of that end game, lack of that motivation to
There's a
have a
bit of
reason to play in the
polish.
first place. Yeah.
There's a bit of polish that they brought into it from Squadron 42, which is still
Yep.
kind of good though, because let's talk briefly, if you guys don't mind, about like the FPS radar, the FPS maps, like the compass. Those are all great improvements to that experience, right? They're kind of fleshing that out, making it more polished. If you guys looked in your ships, like it's got bridge on there, you can walk around, you can set routes and stuff. So like those are all great, and but those are expected, right? They're not like new improvements that we like wouldn't expect to see in a new game today. So it's just tough to keep people's interest.
It's an industry standard. They should have been there from the start, and we're just
to be excited about stuff we should have had. Yeah, good point. Yeah.
But when it comes to the current, like, where are the players? Like, there are people playing, and I do see people online, like, but like we saw before, I think we have a commercial here, just so you know. But we had basically issues where people are leaving the game, and a lot of legacy players aren't coming, a lot of new players aren't coming back. And I think, like you guys said, it's the stability, it's the economy, it's the lack of drive to play. But there are people playing. Like we go out pirating and stuff. Like you said, even today, I think that was you were playing and pirating people. There's
I play
people
4 days
out
a
there
week still sometimes. So
exactly.
like
there's gameplay. It's the same gameplay, and we felt like they did put some things on us, and they stated last Citizen Con, I believe, that they were gonna look at player made structures and stuff. And I think the hangar module portion is gonna be fun. I think there's some weaknesses in what they're developing. I think you already saw some videos out there where people are pulling guns and ending lives that they probably are hoping not to, but we'll see how it all turns out. I'm sure that they're going to keep working on it. I don't think Star Citizen's in trouble as a game specifically from this low population. I think that they can continue. They just need to make sure that their next major update is a knock out of the park. Otherwise,
good impressions. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Agreed. But yeah, I was going to say, is there anything else you want to add to that?
No, I think I'm all set. Yeah. If you guys need anything, just let me know.
Yeah, man, I definitely appreciate it. Definitely added to the conversation.
Yeah, some like really
very good points. Yeah.
Yeah, really good stuff.
Yep. So no worries. I'll talk to you guys later and see you in game. GG's.
I'll see you Thunder.
All right, take care, brother.
Peace.
I feel like a reoccurring like thing that we're getting is I feel like the feedback's always the same, because I feel like a lot of what he was saying goes in line too with what even like Virgil was saying last week, right? I mean, the game, I don't know. I'm at a loss for words at this point. It's like we're sitting here always kind of going in circles about all the things that definitely need to change or be done, and it's like a lot of it's obvious. Oh, we got Stiletto in the waiting room, by the way. So.
Oh yeah, let me drag him in. Just give me a second. But I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Hey, Stiletto, what's up, dude? Good to see you.
Hey, you guys hear?
Yep, can hear you just fine.
All right.
What was the topic that you wanted to kind of like add on to that, or like a little bit of
I I think you guys nailed it spot on. One thing I'm concerned about is pyro. I feel
mhm,
like they've made it a lot more casual than like the PvP area. The 12 habs where you can respawn and refuel and rearm. Some of it's supposed to be rep lock. And then
yeah,
they added the meat grinders where you can farm for subscriber gear, kind of like a Tarkov map or something like that. I
mhm,
don't know if that's the necessary place for that type of stuff. Uh, that's also what I want to touch on.
okay,
Let me say like this: I don't see it holding players after a week or two doing it. I don't think it's going to hold people long. It's part of a problem. I don't think they're seeing the
yeah,
problems.
like it's not enough. It's just like a temporary like bandage, similar to like when they first introduced like Ghost Hollow and some of the gameplay that it had. It was popping for like a little bit of a patch, and then immediately after it just fell flat and died. Right?
Yeah, I think they're going the wrong way about it. They should have had one or two spots, a station where you can refuel and rearm. They should have had some asteroids and some mining gas clouds. Get the player basing in, or at least something temporarily where people can
Yep.
fight over a couple points of interest and hold down stuff. That would have been
Hmm.
unlimited content instead of making a meat grinder room, for example.
Yeah, I do agree with that. That would be.
I mean, I feel like they're going in a very odd direction with pyro now. It's not. I mean, it's not where we originally thought it was going to be. I mean,
It feels like
so
it went from being like this hardcore. If you've like figured out Stanton and grinded enough, you're ready for the next, like tier system of difficulty where
yeah,
you have that progression. It's like playing one map and then slowly getting to like a more difficult, area with like higher like challenges and better like, challenge rating. Maybe that's a better word to like put for that. But
yeah,
now it feels like it
yeah.
has been kind of dumbed down.
Yeah, but I understand. Yeah, I was talking about this the other night. I think with you, Stiletto. But I understand why they would do these things. I think they don't with the state of the game. It doesn't make sense for Pyro to be this like super dangerous and difficult place to access or be able to traverse because I mean, so I was talking about you earlier, Stiletto. How many times were you just like barely moving and you just blew up? You know what I mean?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the
So
time.
now imagine if Pyro is difficult to traverse, and you made it to a place where you have to be very careful. If you, whatever, it's difficult to get there, and then you blow up. So like I understand if for where the game is right now, it makes sense for Pyro to be an easier place to be in and go to because the economy doesn't work, the game doesn't work, right? But at the same time, it really kind of stinks because I feel like it kind of ruins what was gonna be cool about it to begin with.
Keep
Yeah,
Star Citizen hardcore, right? That's what I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean, I wish it was
100%.
stable enough to stay hardcore.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%. I get it. I get it.
realistically, you know.
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Unfortunately, you're right. That's some good points. Nothing. You're gonna quantum for a half hour, and all of a sudden you blow up.
Yeah, I mean, or you land on like this like new planet, right? And you get out of your ship and you fall through the planet. you know? Um
that,
and
that
this
was because
this
the solar flares. You just like right there.
yeah, but it's the solar
Yep.
flare. They
Hmm.
like they work the bugs into their lore.
Yep.
It's not bugs, it's lore.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
I do agree with that though. I feel like a lot of what they're presenting for the last few episodes of IC feel more like trying to keep someone's attention and a little bit distracted from the
Mm.
reality of like what's kind of happening in front of us with the delays on 3.24 and the progress of like how the EVO took what almost 2 months, 3 months, 2 months now, right? I don't remember.
Probably
Three.
But
about
it
was it
was
3?
It's been
about
about three. It's been three.
has it been 3? Okay.
Yeah,
At
That's
least with that
it's
crazy.
about.
hangar portion and the terminals, they've been held back just on that one hiccup. That has me concerned with, are they going to actually make these like goals with these promises? Are we in this like vicious cycle where we're setting up ourselves for disappointment? That's my
I
only concern.
I think we are. I think we are.
It's possible.
Yeah, I think we are, and that's what I'm saying. I think Pyro will get attention for a little bit, but I don't think it'll hold it.
If the
What we
game,
need
yeah.
is
Yeah.
something dynamic and natural. Get the Tony Z quantum economy in with the NPCs really doing real trading. get the players fighting each other in points for gas harvesting or asteroid mining. We need that ASAP, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah, that sense
and
of like
I think it's a
desperation.
long ways away, to be honest. I also I wanted to touch on so it's Indo, what is that? Indo Force, I guess, or what is it? Oh, Indo Foro.
Indo
I
Foro.
honestly don't know why I still care, but I do. I wait for the release. It's 2 months late, and the PTU is filled with bugs. Yeah, PTU is always buggy. Um, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I don't know. I know
Here's
why I
a
care,
really good
but
question here from Thunder Lake, by the way. Why do you think players want to see, or what do you think players want to see / achieve when they play Star Citizen?
I guess
Personally,
it depends on the type of player.
I want to have like good encounters. I want to have encounters in the first place.
Well,
I
that's
want
the
to have like
biggest thing.
emergent gameplay. You know,
Yeah.
that's where it's at.
See, I it would be cool that with meshing, right? It's like having a very high server count. So it would be cool to just see that traffic in general. Even to do nothing. It would just be cool to feel like it's an alive, the verse is alive. You know what I mean? And it doesn't really feel like that. It's very forced. It's like, you know, especially since they added all these new missions over the last couple patches or whatever. It's hard to even run into anybody because they could be out in the middle of nowhere doing like a random mission. You don't run into them, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Trying to look at. There was one thing. Just like practicing. No, there was one. Where was it? In the 4 had something he was gonna say. Imagine RSI had to pay. Oh, just talking about how if they had to pay players to like actually test their game instead of just for free, how much it'd be like shelling out for like player support.
I'll take a paycheck. I'm down for it.
Okay. I think unless there was anything else you want to add to that, Stiletto.
No, you guys have a good night. Thank you for letting me get on.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It
of
was
course, man.
nice having you on, bud.
Later, brother.
And Elder, was there anything else you wanted to talk on? I think we're at a good spot to kind of like wrap up the episode, just because.
Yeah, no. I think we are. I just wanted to see if there's any other comments.
Yeah,
I think it is the multiplayer ships, the ability to do things alone or together on a ship. Yeah, I mean that's one of the most amazing things, and I understand why people want to buy the ships, because when you buy the ship, you feel like you really own it, and you could literally, like when I first stepped into the game, like I ran into this guy, and he like showed me like a tour of his ship. Right, and it was really cool. Like I'd never seen anything like it, so I understand. Yeah, it's like we don't. No, it was I think it was a MSR. I think. Yeah, I had the vents, right, whatever.
Yep.
On the it was an MSR. So it's like the whole thing. It's understandable, and it's like I think nobody wants to see this actually die. Right. We want it to succeed because it's the only game like it. There's nothing that comes close. You know what I mean? Like to do everything I can potentially do in Star Citizen, I'd have to play a number of different games. You know, and it's just pieces. You know, and it's lacking a lot of ways, and they've done amazing things. So I think nobody wants to see this game die, and it's like I'm starting to get afraid that they're just not going to succeed. I hate to be so doom gloom. I'm sorry. It's a fair.
I know. I said. Hey, it's not. We're not. You know, like saying or anything like. Here's Elder. Oh, this is what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I do agree. Like if CIG, I feel, doesn't step it up, there is a risk of losing, a good chunk of their player base for a good portion of time. I don't know. Again, I'm not like a professional,
there is certainly
developer
a
or
risk.
anything like that, but they are kind of at a point where they need to step it up, I feel, to really keep like their player base intact. And they don't want to lose that community trust, because I've seen some games make all these promises, not deliver on it, and then for a long time just kind of trudge along without a lot of progress. It just teeters off. Like the population just does not exist after so many times that happens.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say about that. With that also being said, I'm gonna say, if you guys haven't checked out our Discord, please hop over there. It's a great place to stay informed and get like plenty of information. If you ever want to join us for like one of the shows as a caller, that's where you head to. I think we're gonna wrap up there.
Yeah. Please jump into the YouTube, subscribe, and the comments. Yeah, the comments section have been on fire on the YouTube, and I'm loving it. Honestly, it's so cool. The amount of like conversation that's happening in the YouTube videos is really cool. And so also I'm excited about this. I know he is as well. But like our last two videos have done over 1,000 views, which is really cool. You know what I mean? Like that's exciting. So I'm really I'm enjoying the process. Now, also, I know we're wrapping it up, but I'm having a lot of fun with like the band video, and a lot of people are like, oh, a bunch of PvPers whining, and like I don't care. I'm loving the negative comments. I think we got mostly negative. We got thumbs down on that one.
I think it's really interesting to see like different points of view, and it's interesting to engage in those conversations too. When someone actually wants to, like the last video that we had, people were actively talking about like from a PvE standpoint, some of the stuff that they deal with and what they think about it. It was really cool to engage back and forth with that. So it's cool to see that kind of stuff go.
Yeah, we appreciate the comments. PvE or PvP alike. The newest video actually, it was a little more, I think, of a steady pace, I suppose. It wasn't so much like people attacking and stuff like that. And we had like cargo runners and stuff comment, so it was really cool. With that,
hey, just heads up. Next week we do have a special guest. We have Papa Freedom joining us next Sunday.
Yeah, Papa Freedom.
But we're going to be talking all things like fight or flight, and I think it's going to be a great topic. I'm really looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
Do you have any recommendations for someone to go raid? If you have,
King Chaos is streaming.
He is. Yeah, let's do that. Let's send you guys over to King. Give me a second. I'll get that all set up.
I already got it.
All right, awesome. And we'll catch you guys next time. Thank you again for hanging out, and we will see you next week. Take care.